and welcome to the podcasting equivalent of passing the ball around at the back, running out of ideas and getting it launched to your 6'7" target man. It's the big man up top.
It's the big man up top.
Yes, it is. I'm Joe.
And I'm Ed. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad.
Good.
Football is back.
Football is back. It's already been back, Ed. It's important to point out that football is not just the Premier League.
It's not just the Premier League.
You know that better than anyone.
I do, yes, but the real football.
The money spinner is back.
The proper stuff.
The proper stuff.
Is back, yes.
Yes. Do you think it's been a bit boring?
I think it's way too early to say. What do you mean from the first weekend of Premier League?
First weekend of Premier League football. I don't think there's been no shocks.
See, there was no shocks in terms of like shock results, but there was a lot in terms of action. I noticed like lots of just mistakes in terms of trying to knock it around at the back and then ending up sort of giving it away in midfield and creating chances, which I always think it adds a lot of jeopardy.
Bit of jeopardy. A lot of teams are trying to play it out from the back these days, aren't they?
They're trying and failing, and
they are.
And it does make for sort of comedy defending moments.
But we're very much at the stage where everyone's like, oh, it'll work eventually, but you've got to push through the mistakes.
Exactly. And we had a red card on the opening weekend.
What did you think of that red card? Fabian Schär against Southampton.
I sort of agreed with the pundits on Match of the Day in that you've got to go, I'm afraid, for sort of putting your head in like Schär did, but at the same time it was also a bit soft, and he made a meal of it, didn't he?
You're hearing a lot of people say you don't want to see a red card for that, but
I think I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it being a red? Me too.
I feel like they probably should have both had a red.
Do you think?
Yeah.
He's a bit of a wind-up merchant, isn't he, our Ben Brayton Diaz?
Yeah, exactly. Also, big Stoke fan, apparently.
But yeah, I just feel like this weekend, City win 2-0, Liverpool win 2-0, Arsenal win 2-0, United scrape a 1-0, just like last season.
I was going to say, that sounds about
Nottingham
right.
Forest Bournemouth has 1-1 written all over it. There was just nothing that, if you just saw the results, it was like, oh yeah, standard.
We're recording this podcast on Monday.
Yes.
So tonight
there could be a big shock tonight.
Exactly. Leicester at home to Spurs. By the time this comes out, the game will be over. So it's prime opportunity to give a prediction that's not going to pan out. What do you think?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, go for it. Why not?
I think it's going to be...
Probably won't make the edit. We'll see.
Yeah. I think... But imagine we're right.
Imagine we're right.
Okay, this could be a thing if we do it on a Monday and there's a Monday night game.
Really specific prediction.
Really specific.
Go, come on.
3-1 Tottenham.
Wow, okay.
Timo Werner's going to score the third from the bench.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay. I'm going for 2-1 home win.
Okay.
So Leicester will win, and I think I think it will be a really lackluster display from Spurs, and I think all of a sudden the knives will be out, and Tottenham bottling it again.
Yeah.
At like week 1. Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Bit of a feisty quote from Ange afterwards, maybe.
Exactly, telling everyone to calm down. It's only week 1.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, there you go. So that's my prediction.
Speaking of managers,
okay,
one that's really caught everyone's eye is the new Brighton manager, Fabian Hürzeler.
Great name.
He's 31 years old.
He's 31. It's very upsetting.
I saw the stat that when James Milner made his debut, the man was 8 years old. He was just a boy.
He was just a boy. So
that's younger than you, isn't it?
It's a good 5 years younger than me, Joe.
Could you manage a top Premier League team?
If I was a manager, I would lose the dressing room very quickly.
Do you think? Yeah.
I have no authority. I have no, sense of discipline. Just look at even just my children at home. It's all just falling apart a little bit.
Do you think you're quite motivational? Like, could you pick a team up for the second half?
I think so, yeah. I think, a rousing speech, I've got that in me. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I've got the arm waving.
Yeah, you do wave your arms.
I do, I'm quite effusive.
You are. I think you've got quite an expressional face as well.
Oh, that's great, good.
Yeah, but he's 31, Ed.
He's 31.
It's sickening, isn't it?
The thing that bothers me about young Fabian, as I'm now going to call him forever...
This is what I love, is that you'll never hear him referred to as Fabian Hürzeler.
No.
He's always going to be 31-year-old.
31-year-old Fabian. Yeah, just to really rub it in that
It's
yeah.
the Jude Bellingham effect. Jude Bellingham brackets 20.
Exactly. But I think the thing with young Fabian is that he just, to me, doesn't look like a footballer.
No.
Or a football manager.
What do you think he looks like?
He doesn't look like a football manager. To me, he looks like some kind of tech bro. Like he's maybe, founded some sort of cryptocurrency.
Yes, he is a bit crypto, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or like a new social media.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
A new social media where you have to sign up and all the profile pictures are dogs or something.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I see that.
And it's called Woofster.
Woofster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not signing up to that. There's been quite a few new managers, hasn't there?
There has.
I completely forgot Steve Cooper was Leicester manager.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
kind of passed you by. But you've got Arnie Slot. What do you think he looks like?
Arnie Slot looks like a hedge fund manager.
Okay. Looks quite successful, doesn't he?
He does. He looks like he's got a yacht.
Okay.
He looks,
Probably does.
I think, I was trying to think about this, why I think that. I think he's just very smiley. He's got the smile of somebody that says, I'm a billionaire.
He's a happy-looking man.
He's very happy.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out as the season goes on.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, I think we've come to the time of the show where we're going to have a little look at our trivia.
Oh, yes. Moment to shine.
Bible ballers, Testament top bins.
Yeah. I thought of Bible books in 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's
we
good.
have the UCB podcast Bible book in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes, football match.
I think that works.
Do you like
well.
that? Bit of explaining needed.
Bit of explaining, yeah, for any non-UCB podcast listeners, I suppose.
Maybe you have an idea for a name for us. Get in touch, podcasts@ucb.co.uk.
Yes, please do, because all of the names currently are terrible. So how this game works, it's guess the player with a difference. I'll give Joe a selection of clues to guess a footballer, past, present, could be either. Future, yeah. And the difference is that the first name of this player will be the name of a book in the Bible. It could be a variant of, so, Matt, Matthew, etc., as we had Matt Ritchie last week. So how are you feeling? You feeling confident?
I feel actually quite confident today. Yeah, I've been doing my research both on football and Bible.
Okay, good. Okay, so are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Which Finnish player played in the top divisions in England, Germany and the Netherlands, is a Champions League winner, and had a trial at Newcastle United under Kevin Keegan?
Okay, well, I'm thinking of my Finnish football knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not fantastic.
No.
I could probably name you 3 Finnish players off the top of my head.
Well, I feel like there's only been 5, so...
Well, there isn't a book of Jari, is there? Jari Litmanen.
Not last time I checked.
So I don't think it's him.
Yeah.
My mind's immediately gone to Mikael Forsell.
Okay.
But are we allowing... Oh, there's a book of Mike. Oh, Michael. Mikael. I don't think there's a book that can be stretched to Mikael Forsell. So he's played in England.
Yeah, played in the top divisions in England, Germany and the Netherlands.
Right. And he's...
Champions League winner.
Champions League winner.
And had a trial at Newcastle United under Kevin Keegan. So you've got the rest of this episode to think it through. And then later on, I'm going to get your guess off you.
Yeah,
and let you know whether you got it right.
I'm looking forward to it.
So the first question I wanted to ask you, Joe, is big transfers from the summer. So you're really on top with the Premier League and other leagues around Europe as well. What do you think of the sort of 2 or 3 big sort of news transfers from this summer? Interesting.
Well, United have made some moves, haven't they? Ten Hag likes to sign his old players.
Yeah.
So he's signed De Ligt, he's signed Mazraoui.
I feel like De Ligt to Man United was like... That's been sort of on the cards for about 8 years.
Yeah, it's very 2017 kind of signing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've made moves. Obviously, Chelsea are always making moves. I sat down to watch the Chelsea-Man City game yesterday, and before lineups came out, I was there like, I literally have no idea what this Chelsea team sheet is going to say.
Yeah.
Even when they brought players off the bench, they'd zoom in and be like, No idea.
Yeah, don't know.
So many
Don't know
of
who.
them.
Don't know who that is. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think this is a really interesting time of the season because there's still a few weeks left of the window. This is when players are moving around. This is a really interesting time of the season, and I think what we were hoping to sort of get a bit of insight from it was about what players think about when it comes to moving. How does a player feel when they join a new club? You know, we touched on new seasons last week and how it's sort of a new start, and so I'm really excited to bring an interview that I've done with John Bostock.
Yes.
Now, actually, John Bostock is probably most sort of widely known as being recently the captain for Notts County.
Yeah.
He has just signed a 2-year deal with Solihull Moors and is a man of faith as well.
Yes.
Now, this chat with John was so good.
I'm excited about this.
We're actually going to do it in 2 parts.
Two-parter.
2 parts. So this week we're going to hear part 1 of my chat with John Bostock. Welcome to the big man up top. How are you doing?
I'm well. Honoured to be here. I look forward to speaking to you today for sure.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. So I just wanted to get a bit of a career update from you. So obviously you've had an incredible, stellar career. You've been to all sorts of places, but you've just signed a deal with Solihull Moors, haven't you? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my contract expired at Notts County at a great time in East Midlands, and it was time for me to move on to pastures new. We had a few offers, a few that were quite far away from home. Obviously, I'm a footballer, but I'm a firm believer, and I talk about this a lot, that we're more than players. You're more than just what you do. You're a person first before you perform in any aspect of life or work. And so being a person first, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and being settled at home was our priority for our next choice of club, so that my family can stay a bit settled, because we've traveled the world for my career. So Solihull Moors came in, offered me a good deal and 2 years, and speaking to the manager, the prospect, and the project, the club, it was something that I liked and sounded really quite exciting, to be honest with you. So not too far commute from home, and the goal is to try to get this team into the Football League for the first time in its history. So it's quite funny. I made my debut for Palace when I was 15. That was 17 years ago. Solihull Moors formed as a club 17 years ago. So
Wow.
my career is as old as a club. So it's a really nice mix and blend of a player and a club at different stages. So yeah, I'm really blessed and pleased to be here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You touched on it a little bit there, but I was wondering, because you mentioned you had a few offers. What was the thing about the club and about where you're sort of seeing its potential that made you want to join Solihull Moors particularly?
Yeah, because I had offers from especially one team in the league above, in League Two, and even some interest from clubs overseas and whatnot. And I think it's really important for people to know, like, why you do what you do, because you can sign for a club in a division lower and everyone will have a certain opinion about that move. He's taking a step down, or it looks like you've taken a hit career-wise. But that's why I've come to learn that always know why you do what you do, so that you're not kind of following people's expectations and bound by their opinion of you, because football's a game of opinions. Every fan has their opinion, they're entitled to it. But as a player, it's important to remember why we do what we do. So like, my reasons are bigger than just trophies and finances. I have a family that I provide for, and ultimately I want to use my gift to impact people, especially in their faith, and use my talent to glorify God. So yeah, it's something that when making decisions for my career, obviously I pray about the steps I'm going to make, and my wife also. And so we came to the decision after the offer came, that this was one that we sensed God wanted us to take. And just speaking to the manager, the club, the project, last year they got to the playoff final, at Wembley. They came up short. And obviously I had the privilege of helping Notts to win that playoff final 2 years ago. And so hopefully together this season we can go a step further. So it's an exciting project, a different one, but one I'm definitely behind.
Definitely. Well, earlier you mentioned about there's a season for everything, I think you said. We actually, in the episode that we've just released this week, we were talking about hope and about how, this is the ideal time, isn't it, for football fans to have hope. And it all sort of dissipates maybe after the second or third weekend. But it's that thing of, how do you, as a player, sort of approach this time of the season? Because it feels from the outside like this is the time where, right, we're all ready to go. Anything is possible. So how do you approach the beginning of a season?
It's a fresh start. It's a fresh start. Everyone's on the same points, and honestly, anything's possible. You know, you can achieve your dreams of getting promoted or spending time towards the top of the table, or your worst fears could also possibly happen if you get relegated. So there is a lot to play for. It's a clean slate, but one thing, like you said, hope is a very powerful word, because it's more than a word, it's a mindset. So every team starts off after having a tough preseason, new players in the door, new kit, fans are behind you. I was actually looking at an article today. They ranked of where fans were in the league in comparison to their hope for their club. I think Forest were top. The fans are the most hopeful they're going to have a good season. I think Chelsea were last because the fans aren't very hopeful this year. And as a player, I guess in my 17, 18 years of being a professional, every year it's like the start of every season. It's like, you have goals to want to try and score and assist and help your team. And I think the goal is always to succeed. You never set a goal to fail. So we press on towards what we desire, but we do know that there'll come trials, tribulations, and ups and downs. So yeah, it's an exciting time for a new player. You put on the fresh kit, you have your new boots, and your family come to watch, and yeah, it's a special time for sure. And also the preseason's finished, so that's always good news to every player, because it's tough. Preseason training is very demanding.
Yeah, you've had enough of running around the local lake or whatever it is. Well, listen, John, you're a man of faith. How does your faith in Jesus shape that hope? So, you talked about how the hope at the start of the season, but just day to day, how does your faith in Jesus shape that?
It's a wonderful question. I get asked this a lot when people ask about my faith. And I think, look, everyone listening to this, every single person, I'm sure, has either been through something, going through something, or will go through something that is very challenging. And football's a wonderful game. I believe it's probably the world's biggest religion. If you look at it, it unites every culture, every religion, every nation, every continent. It's a special, beautiful game. And although, it's a game that is loved and followed by so many, when you're in it, there are some amazing ups, but also some serious downs. Performance levels, being out of the team, not performing as you desire to perform, maybe not having a club. I feel like I've experienced all of these things numerous times. And the danger is, as a young person, I kind of grew up to put my hope in my sport, in my identity, in my performance, in my sport. But the issue with that is football's always changing. Everything changes about football. The managers change, opinions change, fans change, kit changes, times change, everything changes. So if you put your hope in something that consistently changes, that's not going to be a very good foundation to build yourself as a man. So when you ask me, how does my hope in Jesus impact me? It actually has given me a complete new identity in my thought process and my performances. I now play with a freedom rather than playing with a fear of, I might be out the team, or what happens if I don't get a club. I now know that my gift is the talent that God's given me. And he wants me to enjoy that gift, but also recognize that it doesn't define me, which is, it's been a process of, if I'm honest with you, Ed, taking me a long time to get to that place, because you all desire to succeed. But ultimately, I know that God's plans for me are good. God has good plans for you. He has wonderful plans for you. And you might have felt like you've been through some serious challenges, but just be encouraged to know that God has never left you nor forsaken you. And that's something that really gives me hope. No matter what I go through or what season of life I'm currently in, or what fears are, trying to weigh me down, I know that God is with me. And I think that is one of the greatest of all promises. My situation might not be fixed straight away, or circumstances might not change straight away, but to know that he's with me through the storm, with me through the trial, with me in my victories, there's something very powerful knowing that you never walk alone. No pun intended to the Liverpool song there, but honestly, he really is a constant help. My hope in him has been my foundation for my career and my identity as a man.
I'm really glad you mentioned You'll Never Walk Alone, because Joe, my co-host, is a Liverpool fan, so he'll be delighted with that. I'm going to put you on the spot here, John. Any scriptures in this realm that sort of particularly jump out at you? Maybe when you're not feeling hopeful, that your go-to ones to remind you of that hope you have.
Yeah, honestly, there's many, and that's why I love the Bible. There was a time in my life that used to just collect dust on the shelf. The time I didn't have a Bible. But now the Bible says it's a living book. It's alive. When you read it, you might read something on a Monday that might not speak to you, but on a Sunday, or you go through something, that line or that verse or that chapter, it becomes like food for your soul. One verse that consistently almost feeds me, it's found in John 16:33. And it says, this is Jesus speaking. He said, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have many trials and tribulations, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. And if you just take a look at the news, take a look at culture, the things that's happening, the things that we're currently facing, and we will face, there are a lot of uncertainties out there for sure, and challenges, how we navigate life. But Jesus gave us this promise and this assurance that in him we have peace, and he has actually overcome all the things that we will ever have to face. And because he's overcome and he has victory, when we get to know him and walk with him, we also walk in victory in life. So that verse really gives me serious, deep-rooted peace and also hope for sure.
That's amazing. And that scripture, when we had our conversation about hope in episode 1, was the exact scripture we quoted. So
Wonderful.
Praise God. That's amazing.
John Bostock there. That was a great chat, Ed.
It was.
Does this mean we're going to play You'll Never Walk Alone now?
Well, I suppose we could do.
I was really excited when you said that.
He definitely, when he mentioned it, the first thing that came to mind was Joe will be a happy boy. But yeah.
I watched a lot of that season he had at Notts County. I think there was obviously a lot of publicity around that season. Wrexham having that whole documentary about them. So I feel like there's a big spotlight on that season. Notts County had a really good season that year, but still only went up through the playoffs because of how good Wrexham were. But yeah, it was really interesting chat with him. Really interesting to hear his perspective on moving clubs. We don't often think about the human side of that, do we?
No, and I think that's the thing that I suppose really, really struck me speaking to him is when I think of footballers moving, I think of mercenaries. I think of players who are just going from, to whoever pays them the most money. But actually, listening to John, it was really sort of apparent that they have to think about their family. They have to think about where they're living. They have to think, yes, also about money, but also about success. What is their measure of success? You sort of see players who are quite happy to go and sit on the bench at a club. But actually, for other players, that's not how they're going to measure their value.
They don't want that. It's been really interesting, actually, in the Liverpool transfer rumour kind of mill going on. We've been linked with a player called Martin Zubamendi. You might remember him from the Euros final that we sadly lost to Spain. He came on for Rodri at half-time. And we've been linked with him for quite a while. And Liverpool actually offered him 3 times the amount of salary he was getting at Real Sociedad. But he's turned around and said he doesn't want to go because he likes San Sebastian so much. I mean, why would you swap San Sebastian for Liverpool?
Well, exactly.
Well, there's been a bit of a joke going on that Real Sociedad played him a PowerPoint of scenery around San Sebastian, told him about the paella that he loves eating.
Well, exactly.
Told him about the mountains that he likes hiking up. And it's all a bit of a joke. But actually, it's a big deal to up and move, especially from abroad.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to up and move. I don't know if he has a family or anything, but to move your whole life over, we can feel so entitled that why does he not want to come to our club?
Yeah.
But actually, put yourself in that position. Imagine you had to up and move your family to another radio station in, I don't know, Macedonia. Would you do it?
Well, I'm not going to comment on Macedonia because I don't know enough about the place. But
I don't know why I went Macedonia.
But you never know. But I think you're absolutely right. These are human beings who have jobs and they've got to think about all of those things. One player may take the decision to go, you know what, I'm going to move to. This is going to be disparaging to whichever place I pick.
Shall we go Everton again?
No, let's not do that.
Let's steer away from Everton.
No. Well, Newcastle's a really good example. There's a whole thing about how Newcastle have got all the money to pay whoever they want, but are they going to want to move to Tyneside? And it's a very genuine question. Now, some players might go, you know what, my football career isn't that long. Once I retire at 40, I've got all the time in the world to go and, buy a house in Lake Como. I'll just spend a couple of years here in Newcastle and that's fine. But other players, that might be a really big consideration is where am I now and the surroundings I'm in, will that contribute to my happiness and then my performance on the pitch? So it is a lot to think about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you were absolutely delighted that he dropped that Bible verse, weren't you?
I was absolutely delighted.
This morning you came to me and you gave me the interview and your face was beaming that he dropped the same Bible verse that you did last week.
I know.
But it's so true what he said.
Yes,
so true, that
definitely.
verse.
And I think it's interesting that I found a Bible verse that sort of speaks on this in 1 Timothy 5. Now, I will stress at this point, I'm taking the verse slightly out of context, which is never a good thing. It speaks about how it's important to provide for your relatives and how we need to be taking care of our households and those around us. Not at the expense of others, but that is very important, that we should be looking after our families. And I think that's just something that these guys are having to think about. John, he has kids and he has a wife, and he's got to think about that. He's also got to think about his career after football. He's got to think about his life after football.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can maybe begin to start to see footballers in the light of, this is a career move. This is something they're thinking about. It's not just all about the money. And when you maybe see some more bizarre moves, or maybe more bizarre non-moves. I'm thinking Peter Odemwingie. Was that West Brom?
I think did he drive to West Brom?
He drove to West Brom. Yeah,
put himself on the doorstep.
Yeah, and
you've seen it with less so Conor Gallagher. Like, he didn't take himself, but he was kind of back and forth between Madrid.
Well, that's it. And actually, Conor Gallagher's a really good example. He must be feeling all over the place at the moment.
Yeah.
He must be really in limbo. As you said earlier when you were talking about moving to Macedonia, moving countries is not a little thing.
It's massive. It's absolutely massive. And he's kind of being used as a bit of a pawn in Chelsea's financial situation they found themselves in. And we so often don't think about how he must be feeling about this because it's rough. I can imagine it's really rough. And we have this perspective of, he's a footballer, he's living our dream, he's got all this money, he's still a human being.
Yeah.
And that's really hard, so unsettling. He doesn't know where he's going to be living over the next few months. Yeah.
Well, hopefully for Connor, he can get settled down wherever he is. He's obviously a very talented player, but also for all of the other players for whom right now is a really tense time. Am I going to be still at my club in the next couple of weeks? There's a lot of players who won't know that, and
the other thing as well, we hear about the high profile ones. Look, these players at a high level, they're going to quite easily find a club.
Yeah.
We don't often hear about the lower league players that they have no idea if they're going to get picked up again.
Yeah.
The next season, and that is their income.
Yeah.
That is how they have to provide for their family.
Yeah, and it is the difference between staying professional for a few years or not.
Well, we're going to hear a bit more from John Bostock next week. We're going to ask him a bit more about social media. You might have heard about his venture into social media with a channel called Ballers in God, and we're going to hear a bit more about that next week, aren't we, Ed?
We certainly are.
And I can't wait.
Okay, going back to the trivia, Joe.
Yeah.
I'll read it out again for you, if you like. Which Finnish player played in the top divisions in England, Germany and the Netherlands, is a Champions League winner, and had a trial at Newcastle United under Kevin Keegan? Do you think you've got this?
I think I do, actually.
Oh,
I'm going to look very silly.
He's looking really confident.
So I'll talk you through. Like I said, there's only ever been 3 Finnish players in the history of football.
Yeah, it's not true, but yeah, go on.
Jari Litmanen
Is 1.
Mikkel Forsell
Is 2.
Number 3, quite dear to my heart, a Mr. Samuel Hippier, also known as Sammy Hippier. He's won the Champions League in 2005,
Mm-hmm.
and all the other things that you said he's done as well. I don't
Right.
know as much detail about that.
Okay.
But I'm going to lock in Sammy Hippier.
Not the book of Timu Puki?
Oh, he's another one, isn't he?
He's another one.
Timothy.
Yeah. Timu Thi.
No.
I don't. It could be.
Could be.
It could be. The correct answer is Sammy Hippier. Well done.
I was worried then, Ed.
No.
You gave me a look that said you got this one wrong.
No, you've got it right.
Oh,
Well done.
Is
Yes.
that 1-0 then?
That's 1-0.
Oh, I'm going to make a note of that.
Very good. Yeah, good.
1-0.
1-0 to Joe. The trial at Newcastle under Kevin Keegan. was the one that got me.
You said that to throw me, didn't you?
I did a little bit. Just before he went to play in the Dutch league, he had a trial at Newcastle and then ended up going and playing for Willem II. And who did he play for after Liverpool?
Oh, did he go to Aston Villa?
No, he went to Germany.
Went to Germany.
I'll put you out of your misery.
please
It was
do.
Bayer Leverkusen.
Of course it was.
But over 300 appearances for Liverpool and the captain's armband as well. Very much a Liverpool legend. I thought you'd enjoy that one.
Thank you very much for that, Ed. Well, Ed, it's been fun.
It has,
Have you had a fun time?
I've had a really fun time.
So have I. Let's do this again. Thank you so much for listening to The Big Man Up Top. If you want to get in touch with the show, send us an email to podcast@ucb.co.uk and please follow, subscribe, and if you want, give us 5-star reviews on your favourite podcasting app.
Please, only if we're worth it. Actually, no.
No, it don't matter.
No, just give us 5 stars anyway.
Because this helps us get the word out in the early days of this podcast. And if you've enjoyed this, tell your mates. And a big thank you to Anthony Salamat-Webb for being our producer of this podcast, the hardest working man on the podcast.
He certainly is. He has to listen to all of our chat and turn it into something resembling professional content.
Yes, please pray for Anthony. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.